Welcome back to another episode. We've got a very cool one today. You can hear that new bubbler running in the background. Excuse my messy setup, but I have this new bubbler just sitting underneath there to protect it. It's got two lines running out and a power cord running to the corner out to a new solar panel we have hooked up just for that. So the sun is powering this bubbler with these two balls, and it seems to be vigorously working. It's getting all this ice melted. I filled this bucket up with just snow and melted it overnight here. I didn't clean the bucket out, I just used it for compost before, so there's a little bit of residue in there, hence why the water's not so clean looking. But what I wanted to talk about today is why I set this up and what I'm doing out here. So if you haven't figured it out, today I'm making and starting some compost tea. We have some aloe vera, we have tons of it that we've been propagating, and we eat it, we make all types of stuff with it, but it is also very nutritious. We have some finished compost here. It's got some remnants of grass and weeds from the chickens' run, but mostly finished compost, and that is key. And the reason you want to use mostly finished compost is because you want all of those microorganisms, microbes, and bacteria to thrive in this compost tea. It's basically like a power shake for all of your plants. It can really get them going or add life to an old plant, such as a potted plant, or for a plant like kale that's been planted for quite some time and it probably has sapped up most of the nutrients that it was planted into. Even though this whole bed was fresh compost, it still sucks up the nutrients, and when you water, it also leaches them down. So I'm basically just trying to feed my plants properly and rejuvenate some of these older plants in here also. So I have more than what I need to start this compost tea. Grab all this grass here. In the summertime, we use fresh grass clippings from our yard. This is just wheatgrass that we grow for our chickens. They come through and mow it down, but I'm gonna steal some of it today to put in our mesh bag because this is full of nitrogen, all of these green sprouts. So I'm only putting 3 ingredients into this compost tea. There is a million different ways you could make this with a million different items. Everything we've got here is free. So all of these elements we're putting into our compost tea to make it compost tea are all free. I'm going to get all this sorted out and talk about it real quick. Alright, I've got everything sorted out. You do not need very much. I got about a 5-gallon bucket. It's not all the way full. I want to talk about the amount of items you want to use. I got a lot of grass here and not a lot of aloe vera. I don't use a whole lot of aloe vera, but all of this grass is perfect. And the compost, you really only need about a cup of compost, and this is about a half a cup or so, and this should work very well for us. We are going to take this mesh bag and dunk it in there once we fill all of our items into it. Alright, now when I do this, I buried my compost in there and I kind of just scoop it up all in one big ball, and that's how I want it to be set in this bag. Alright, so we've got a small compost tea ready to brew. Alright, so we've got this set in right above our bubble, so you can see that it's just emulsifying the water with all the small particles and getting all of the living bacteria moving and aerating through this water. All of the chlorophyll and the nutrients from the greens will start to slowly break down and seep into the water, filling it with nutrients. So when you're cooking compost tea, it only really has to sit for about a day or two in the normal conditions when the ambient temperature is nice outside and it's summertime. But we're still in winter here. It's March 4th. It may be 40 degrees outside, but at nighttime it is getting cold. It drops down to the teens. So overnight temperatures in our greenhouse are staying about 40 degrees. So I will let this stew a little bit longer than normal. And we are still maintaining that 40-degree soil temperature easily at nighttime with our compost water that is continually running through our compost and through the entire floor of our greenhouse here. So this is one awesome way to provide for all of your plants, new and old, and provide all of those nutrients and nutrition to the plants without having to recompost and keep putting nutrients on top of the soil or constantly fertilizing. I hope everyone enjoyed this video on our compost tea setup over here. I have 2 lines, so I'm going to dig a hole and put another bucket in so we can have 2 compost teas running in the early spring here and really get a good start on those early sprouts we got going.